A big thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this week's video and making our van life dream a reality.
Oh, this is all covered in oil.
Yeah?
Oh, is it gonna get my hair? Yeah. So our van has a bit of a problem right now. The coolant water is filled with rust. And we realized that this would be the perfect day to fix this problem, get the coolant water clean and get antifreeze in there so we don't have to deal with this problem anymore. But also to explain why we love living in a rusty old van. At first, it might not seem worth the effort, but there really are so many beautiful things about living in an ancient van, like our Odie, who's 40 years old, and I thought it would be a really fun thing to talk about because we love our van so much, and yet it is a pain in the butt to have a rusty old van.
So there are 1,000,001 reasons why buying a rusty old van might not be right for you. And when we did our van conversion, people told us a lot of them. They said we were being stupid, that the engine would break down, that the rust would destroy everything, that an old car was a terrible investment, and that we should have bought something newer. But the truth is, owning an old car has been incredible so far. And even though it's a bit of work, there are 3 major reasons to get an old van that I wish we'd known at the very beginning of this van life journey. And the first reason to buy a rusty old van was a huge surprise to both of us.
Yeah, one time that I really realized that having an old van made people nicer to you was when our van broke down in Serbia. The exhaust system completely fell off of our van. Oh boy.
Our exhaust pipe has snapped clean off in the middle.
Really confused on what we should do because now when you Google it, it says that your whole van is gonna catch on fire because the hot exhaust fumes are going right up onto the bottom of the van. And so we ended up at a campsite in Serbia, and the campsite owner was so kind. Like, he set us up with mechanics. The mechanics came and in the rain crawled under the van, fixed everything. They actually took the exhaust pipe off of the car, went back to their shop, welded it there, came back to the campsite, crawled under the van in the mud, put it back on, and then helped tow us out of the mud because we were stuck in the mud at the campsite. And all like actually giggling and smiling and having this great time. And I think that they were so in awe to see such an ancient car because so many of the people that go through there, you know, have the new RVs, the plastic fantastics, or whatever you want to call them. And so it's like, yeah, those cars are amazing, but our car, our old ancient rusty van, brought a smile to their face. And I think that it was fun for them because it's such a simple mechanics, you know. Instead of all these new computers, they could just pop up the part, fix it, bring it back, and really do some like makeshift work. And I think that that was one of the moments where I was just like, this is so cool. Like, our ancient car can be fixed anywhere with very little effort. And in this case, it was only 100 euros to fix it. And I'm not sure, I feel like it must go for a lot more with a newer car. And so, yeah, he even said to us, the guy who ran the campsite, he was like, the best combination, old van, young people. And I think that there's something really beautiful about when you are brave enough to take something old and make it new again and make it yours again, and people look at that and are proud of you, and we are then proud of ourselves. And I feel like it's this beautiful alchemy of choosing to go a little bit of a harder route and then having the world celebrate that and feel connected to you for your effort. And so that's one thing that I'm not sure you get that in other newer cars. Like, we've had the luxury of trying out some different vans, and sure, if they're really fancy, people are curious, but there's some like joy and such heartwarming experiences that we've had with strangers looking at Odie and meeting us that I don't think is possible in a new car because, yeah, Odie has his own energy to him, and it sounds corny, but I really believe it. And I'm so grateful that we chose to go with an old car rather than a new one because it does make people nicer to you. one of the things that we weren't really expecting when buying a rusty old van, and I'm not positive about it, but I'm pretty sure, is the fact that having a rusty, ugly, old exterior of the van makes it seem like there's nothing valuable inside. Because, you know, if somebody was gonna rob a van, which happens like quite a fair bit, especially in certain parts of Europe where we've been traveling, I feel like why wouldn't you go to a new car which would have new stuff and have people who have money inside it? I think having a humble exterior is actually a really smart move because you're less likely to get targeted as a great place to rob. And we have taken some precautions about the whole getting robbed thing. We have alarms that can go off that we set at night if we're ever camped in an area that we don't feel secure. We have locks on the back, so if somebody did want to break into our car, they would also have to break into the back and then break into another lock. Ready? And then inside there we have a safe, so any super valuables are kept in the safe. But what's shocking is through all of our travels, we haven't even had any issues at all of anybody coming in or knocking or sketchy people around. So I think that's like a combination of many things, including luck, obviously, and also us picking good spots. But knock on wood, we haven't had any problems. And I think that a lot of that is because we have such a ancient van and people are like, what could be in there that's worth anything? Usually it's just like, you know, dirty old hippies. And while we are dirty old hippies, we also have fancy camera stuff. So it's worked out in our favor.
I feel like what I really love about our old van is that it forces you to move slow in a way that makes you see a lot more. You can't just like drive through an entire country. You kind of have to take your time and go like 100 miles a day or 50 miles a day. And you end up going to a lot of places you would have never stopped in. I feel like we've seen so many towns that like aren't near any major airports, don't come up on any like top 10 lists. They're just like beautiful places that no one goes to. And yeah, that's something beautiful about it. And I feel like that's always been a goal of mine, to like slow down and not stress too much. But it's like a very hard thing to actually put into practice. And I remember in Berlin, I actually got this tattoo of a blue whale. This was like my first big tattoo, and I wanted it to be a reminder to like slow down, because blue whales are like the biggest creatures, living creatures on Earth right now. And yeah, to just like move slowly and enjoy life. And my tattoo was definitely a reminder of that, but it was really like owning Odie and learning to drive a 40-year-old car that like made me have to slow down. Alright, so we're about to begin the process of changing the coolant water, which is actually a struggle we have been dealing with for over a year because we never got our act together to actually finish it. Basically, you just need to get rid of all the rusty water, put in fresh water, let the engine mix it through till it gets dirty, get it out again, get it out a third time, and then add antifreeze and water, and this way it will stop rusting. We've just never finished the process until today.
Oh. Fluid's coming out clean.
All right, the coolant water is fixed, and now we are gonna go for a swim because I am filthy.
So I guess that's our story about why we think you should buy a rusty old van, because the thing is, We got so much advice when we were talking about starting van life or buying a van and buying our first car that we should not get an old vehicle. People are like, it's gonna be such a headache, it's gonna be such a nightmare, the engine's gonna break, everything's gonna fall apart, you're investing so much in a build. And what happens if the car just stops working? And it's actually something that caused us a lot of anxiety, especially the first year we were in the car, because we're like, we put in 6 months of effort to build this thing. What happens if it just dies? And I'm just really grateful that Odie has held up. We've had almost 0 problems, minus the exhaust falling off. The only other issue we've had is the coolant water. And it's like, that could happen in any car. And so I feel like we've been really fortunate, and I'm just so grateful that we chose an old van, because there's so much character in buying old things and upcycling them and making them your own. And you know, I feel like we lived it, like truly, and Odie has been a great home for us, and I'm really happy that we chose this old van because he really is part of the family now. Pretty cool.
I think it's really nice.
So yeah, when it comes to cars, I like them old, but when it comes to websites, I like them new and easy. I am very grateful that we have Squarespace, because the modern, clean aesthetic is so easy to use. You don't run into any problems, and if you do have any hiccups, there is 24/7 customer support there to fix any problem that you have. And so yeah, if you want to build your own website, please just go to squarespace.com/wildweroam, and you can use our offer code to get a discount on your first purchase.